Oh my God, Jerlyn is here. Palak is here. Hi, Palak.
Hi.
Hi, Jerlyn. Oh, this is great that we can actually speak to each other. That's so sweet. It's late for everybody in India. It's so kind of you to stay up. You know what? I'm going to
Love
play
to
some
talk to
music so
you.
we have some background music. Huh?
We love to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm happy. All right.
I can see people joining in from Berklee as well. That's good.
Yeah.
It's great.
But without taking much of the time, I think we should delve right into it. Welcome everyone. This is an event organized by Berklee Valencia India Group. This is from Berklee Valencia campus. It's basically a student diversity initiative by Sanchit and myself, with the goal of spreading the awareness of Indian music through educational and performance activities. The objective here is to introduce music from India to audiences as well as musicians. In Valencia was the primary idea when we were in Valencia. These different times have led us to innovate and make it like a global. Like we organized some workshops, some listening sessions, seminars, performances, and we were also planning to have a concert, which is still in the development phase, given the fact that everybody is at their homes and we need to organize something online. Well, this, what we're having today, it's again like a seminar we're having with Annette. I'd like to welcome Annette here, who has been an amazing musician and an inspiring model for me personally. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who joined here. So we're very excited. Just to give an idea to a lot of people who have recently joined here and might not know about Annette, Annette is the director of the Berklee Indian Ensemble, which has garnered around 21 million views on YouTube and is still counting. She is also the artistic director of the Berklee India Exchange, a program that celebrates the rich history of Indian music and seeks new expressions of it through cultural exchange and residencies, workshops, music videos, and live performances all over the world. I encourage you to watch all of these videos on YouTube. Before coming to Berklee as a student in 2006, Annette started a performing arts collective in New Delhi called the Artists Unlimited, providing local musicians a place to converge, collaborate, and create in a non-competitive environment. And after graduating from Berklee, Annette was offered a faculty position in 2010. And then she created the Indian Ensemble in 2011. Moving ahead in 2013, she and Clint Valadelis launched Berklee India Exchange, or BIX, which aims to one, foster collaborative energy and cultural exchange between India and Berklee. Two, provide opportunities for Berklee musicians to create and perform original Indian music. Three, create mentorship and performance opportunities with renowned Indian musicians. And four, support music education in India through access to Berklee resources, scholarships, and workshops. I like to commend Annette for all the work that she's done and she's still doing. And with that, it's a pleasure having you. I welcome you to this seminar.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Garvit. Thanks, Sanchit. And so happy to see all of you. Oh my God, this is great. I don't know if we're going to have good internet with everybody's videos on, but it's so nice to see you. Uh, where's everybody from? I'm curious. I know Jerlyn and Palak and my dad, my parents are online. So there's at least 3 people from India. Thomas, where are you from?
I'm from France.
From France. Wow, great. And Helen?
Hi, I'm from Shanghai. I'm currently in Valencia, though.
Oh, okay. Wow,
Soma and
amazing,
Helen are both part
amazing.
of the scoring program with me.
Oh, so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And you're still in Spain, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
back home,
Nice.
but
You're in France.
close.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Yeah, great. Great. Well, lots of people here. Harsha is executive engineer in government of Andhra Pradesh. Okay, well, so lovely to be here, and thanks to Garvit and Sanchit for organizing. So yeah, how shall we proceed?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Uh, I had a question for you, Annette. I wanted to understand your motivation to, after creating the Artist Collective, your motivation to go to Berkeley to pursue your further music.
Okay, so my dad's online,
Yeah.
right? Uh, well, so Artists Unlimited was like my first baby, so to speak, and I put everything. I put my, sweat, blood, tears, any money that I was making from recordings or from jingles or from voiceovers. I was just pouring everything into that one baby to make it grow and have it have legs and arms and feet and be able to walk. And I think about 3 years into it, I got really burnt out. I mean, I was physically burnt out. I was emotionally burnt out. I was psychologically, like just creatively as well. I think I just got to this phase of feeling like I had emptied myself of all inspiration of anything possible. And I just felt like, wow, if I don't nourish myself externally, I'm not going to make it. So I'd heard about this place called Berklee, and just from a friend of mine in passing, and I looked it up online, and it was a little bit kind of scary and overwhelming. And at the same time, it felt like, this feels like a cool place. What if I did 1 or 2 semesters? I just need some exposure. That's really what it is, what it's all about. And so I asked my parents, this place, what do you think? And they were like, big joke. No, you're not going anywhere. And I'm an only child, growing up in India. A lot of you are knowing, so you know what that's like, especially for girl children. I mean, my parents are amazing. And it's not just because they're online, but they really are. And they've always encouraged me. But there was this wonder, you're financially independent, you're a full-time musician, you have a great you have a lot that you're already doing in Delhi, which is where I was living. So why do you need to do this? And just something in me just kept feeling like, well, this is the right choice. And so I sort of made a deal with my parents. For 2 years, I said no. And then I said, okay, what if I have a full scholarship? So they were like, yeah, give it your best shot. So I applied, and initially I got a partial scholarship from Berklee. And there was this organization called the INLAKS Foundation, INLAKS. And so I applied for that as well. And what they were doing at the time was they would give people funds for higher studies in whatever subject, so it's something like 20,000 people apply, and then they bring it down to the next 2,000, and then they bring it down to 200, and then they bring it out to 20. And then usually about 10 people get this scholarship for whatever course of study. It could be, psychology, it could be, biotechnology, anything. And that particular year, I was really blessed. I got it. And so it allowed me to then have leverage with my parents. So I said to mom and dad, well, see, now Berklee already gave me admission. I have a partial scholarship. And now I got this massive fund, which basically can pay for even 4 semesters. So now what? So them being really people with full of integrity, they were like, okay, we promised you, go for it, give it your best shot. And again, my goal was to do 1 or 2 semesters, because I had a full-time career back in India. And I would do, about 6 months or 9 months, maybe 2 semesters at Berklee in Boston, come back, we released an album, then go back, So I was doing this for a while. And yeah, I think at some point, I had worked so hard in Boston that they upped my scholarship. They made it full. So by the time my INLAKS funding ran out, Berklee, Boston increased my scholarship to top it off. And it just felt like, well, there's a sign in this. There's a reason that this is there. I probably need to stay for a little bit longer. And I did. And I mean, I really am so grateful for my parents for supporting me. And I'm also grateful for their initial resistance, because it really helped me crystallize what and why, what I wanted to do and why I wanted to go, and also why I wanted to stay. And so I hope that that's the long answer of why did you go to Berklee?
Very beautiful thought. It's a very beautiful thought. I mean,
Yeah, thank
it's
you.
cool. Wow. Wow. There's some places you're meant to be, and they just come to you.
Well, you got to fight for it too. I mean, it wasn't, I could have said when they said for 2 years, no, and lovingly. I mean, it was never a forced thing. It was never there was never any meanness in it. It was really like, Beta, do you really need to do this? And I was like, yeah, I kind of do. So, you do have to fight for it. And also, the Inlax Foundation thing didn't come on its own. It was also, I spent 10 years doing music and creating opportunities, not only for myself, but for other people, and really working hard. So then I was prepared when the opportunity presented itself, so, but I do agree. I think there are some places you're meant to be, some people you're meant to meet, some decisions you're meant to make, and follow your heart. It's really served me well. So far, so good.
Very nice. Very nice. And how about Bex? What was the motivation to start Berklee India Exchange? And why do you think it's important to explore Indian music at Berklee? Then,
So I'll give you a little bit of background. In 2000, I joined faculty in 2010, and even that was a very unusual decision. I asked my parents, should this happen? Because it was not my goal initially to become faculty there. I was just there to study, and I wanted to move out. I was probably going to go to some other state or go back to India. And it was an interesting door that opened. And I made a promise to myself that as long as I keep creating and composing and writing and touring, that, okay, I will take this on, because it felt to me a lot like Artists Unlimited, where I was afraid that I was going to do the same thing. I was going to have this burnout, and I would just give and do these big productions, and because I love producing shows. And so there was this kind of yes, no, gray, white, black, everything, just trying to figure it out. However, once we started, and how it started was, they said, you have a blank canvas. What class would you like to create? A new class. We need something new. And I was like, for real? Okay, yeah, well, let's try, an ensemble that explores music from all over India. Once it began, it just took on a different kind of energy and drive, not just from me, but there was this demand, like Garvit and Sanchit, you were talking about, when you did your first concert or your first presentation in Valencia, you felt like there was this energy, there was this buzz, there was this demand for the music that you were sharing, right? And so the same way, there were people from Harvard and MIT and tons of students from within Berklee who were getting excited. And after we did 2 or 3 shows, we thought, well, this is more than a class. This is a movement of sorts. This can probably be an institute in itself. And we should have artists in residence. We should invite legendary people from the Indian music industry to come here and mentor the students and play with the students. And maybe we write music together. Sky's the limit. So it really just started out as a seed idea. And Clinton Cerejo was the first artist in 2013 that we brought. And that's where, Clint and I were sitting in a room and we're like, well, we should call this something. What shall we call it? We're like, okay, Berklee, India. Okay, we're trying to do something with different cultures. Okay, let's just put it as exchange for now. It was just like you both, you sat down on a rainy day in Valencia, and then suddenly this group formed. So sort of like that. It was a sunny day in Boston, and Berklee India Exchange, this idea came up. Since then, yeah, it really has taken on a life of its own, with a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment and a lot of also heartache and tears and making mistakes and also wonderful wins. We should update our bio. I don't know which bio picked up, but it's 170 million views right now, before the 500,000 of Dil Chahta Hai. So we got to do our math and update. But yeah, it's really picked up, and we couldn't have done it without massive support We've had 300 or 400 people from 42 countries now be part of the music that we create, and just trying to do cool things. Next year, the Indian Ensemble turns 10. So the big dream is to do a stadium show at Fenway Park. I don't know. Now that the world is changing, let's see what's possible. But we won't start dreaming. We'll try something anyway.
Very nice.
Can I just ask, related to that, we have a question. Clearly, the ensemble has had a lot of appeal across, so many views, but it's still so unique, and so there's so much integrity in the music. So I wonder, how do you approach to spreading Indian music without commodifying it, without maybe doing fusion for the sake of fusion, as we might call it? Do you have any thoughts behind that?
Yeah, it's very conscious. It's very easy to, I think, traverse from one side to the other. I think it comes down to taste. And I think that everyone in the ensemble has spent many years developing their personal taste in music. And there's been, right from 2011 when the class began, there was a specific type of sound, vibe, and intention behind anything, even if it's a class, even if it's a poster, or it's a class recital, or it's a production with A.R. Rahman at Symphony Hall. There has been a consistent commitment to a particular type of sound that honors our rich Indian tradition, while also being very open to a global influence, keeping in mind that you can always go a little bit extra, a little bit further in how you arrange or how you make musical or artistic choices to keep it to something that each of us feels proud of. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with commercial music. I think actually any music that is sold is commercial. Anything that is, I think we have a toxic relationship with money. We have a toxic relationship with failure. We have a toxic relationship with pop, calling something cheesy or calling something pop. There are lots of us who have a mental kind of we don't like to call ourselves certain things, but because we think that one is better than the other. I think all there is taste. And so far in the group, everyone who's been in the group has had a very similar kind of taste or different tastes that complement each other. And that's kept the flavor somewhat intact. That's about it. But, we would love for this music to be in movies. We would love for it to be heard in dance clubs around the world. Why not? I think there's nothing wrong in your music being used commercially. I think there's nothing wrong. Maybe what your question was, I'm wondering if there was another layer to the question besides commodification and commercialization.
Right. I just mean that's really good answer. I was also just in referring to when you spread the music to people who are not so familiar with Indian music, because you have a lot of appeal with Indian musicians as well as non-Indian musicians. So, how do you present it to people who aren't so familiar with it without maybe reducing the music or, anything like that?
That's a great question. It's something we struggle with every day. So ultimately, music is music, right? I think ultimately, if you listen, you can listen to opera without having had any introduction to opera, and you still feel something. There's a story. There's an emotion. There is a color. There is again, I always use the words energy and vibe that you can feel, that you can sense, even if you don't understand the language, even if you don't have any idea of that culture, you feel something, because we're human, and all humans have this, as dissimilar as we are, we also have this common palette of shared human experiences. Like most of us have felt the warmth of the sun. most of us have felt hungry. Most of us have lost something. Most cultures have lullabies, to help people fall asleep. Most people have experienced or gotten wet in the rain, whether they liked it or not. They felt water drop on their body or their clothes, or they've understand what it means to have something dripping with water. It's those, like, just those primary essences that we all have, no matter where we grew up. And I think as long as you realize that you can offer your food in any sort of plate to someone, and as long as the food was made lovingly and it has some basic ingredient, like a good combination of ingredients, like it's not all chili, though some people love that, or it's not all just sugar, though some people love that. As long as it's a basic, dish that has some elements, whatever plate you serve it in, likely it's going to work. And so that's how I look at songs. I don't know if this example works for anyone, the analogy, whether it works, but when I think of our plate in the Indian ensemble, it's the Israeli, Jordanian, Kenyan, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Malaysian, Indonesian, American, British plate. And everyone brought in a little bit of their own masala or whatever. And at the same time, we spend a lot of time studying what the dal, the original dal, or the original lentil, or the rice, or the baguette, or whatever it is, right? We've studied and we've tried to taste as much of that as possible. So everybody who's in bringing their own spices also knows sort of what that original context was, what that original flavor was. I'm going super into food. I'm probably hungry.
This is a great analogy.
But I hope that works. I mean, I hope that,
Definitely.
I think you can never satisfy every audience. You can, no matter how purist you think you are being, somebody will find an issue with it. But what you can do is put as much heart and soul into studying the original tradition and studying what's happening right now and allowing things to merge, and making sure that you're doing it with respect, with as much respect as you have, with as much knowledge as you currently have, because none of us will ever know everything. I mean, nobody knows everything, So there was a little bit of a roundabout answer, but
That was great.
I just think we get caught in the definition of what is right or what is pure. I mean, what is pure? What's original anymore? Really?
Exactly.
Somebody came up with it already. so,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I think you have to be able to stand by what you make. It has to taste good to you, and then you share it with other people. I'm loving seeing more faces. Hi, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's
I mean,
fantastic. Thank
we
you.
can keep going back into that, but feel free to disagree. Like, this is not a one way, it's a two way. I'm so happy to see Priya is online. Yay. Priya's in the Indian ensemble, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was also in Valencia with us this semester.
Yeah, I know. But she's back home now, right?
Yeah.
Palak.
I remember one of my teachers also telling me someday that there's a debate going on. Would you say any of the music being produced right now from any person is not original? Because whatever music they are producing is basically based on their historical listening sessions with any kind of music, and they're just kind of rebuilding blocks and images and creating something which is an approximation of, or maybe like a proportionate amalgamation of what you've heard before. So it's just a kind of debate going on. But the whole idea is just to create something which you feel comes from within. Like, that is what I got from your answer. I mean, it's just to do the art that we love, and hopefully, I don't know, like,
Yeah, I
we get
totally
something
agree.
we love.
I totally agree. You know why? Because so much art stays hidden within us because we feel it's not new enough. but actually that art needs to get out. I mean, even if you're a painter, all right, it's like, how many different ways? Of course, there's 100 different ways to make a painting. And at the same time, you know, like I look at the art in my house, I have very little stuff on the walls. But you know, there's a painting of a street. How many paintings of streets are there in the world? Like, you know, if you think of even Valencia, you think of Spain, right? There's so many little photos or little paintings of streets, or France, you know, where Thomas is from, or India, like the little gullies, you know, like there's so many little photos of gullies. There's no original gully. But at the same time, when you see a beautifully framed or a beautiful perspective of a gully means street for anyone who's not Indian, there's something that it evokes in you. There's an emotion that it evokes in you. And for me, I could do like an entire album of streets, and maybe it's not an original idea, but it'll be my perspective. You know, maybe I caught the photo of that street when a little cat crossed it, or there's a little little sliver of sunlight on one end of something, or, you know, there's one flower growing out of the wall or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's still my perspective, even though everybody has taken photos or painted or done movies with shots of streets in it, but it's still your perspective. And that should be enough. Like, we hold ourselves hostage to this new, original, fresh, you know, it's maybe it's outdated. Like, maybe we could just make stuff.
Yeah, that would be great. Just collaborate, experiment. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how this video came about to be, right? This video that you released recently because of the COVID relief workers.
Uh-huh.
So can you talk about that?
Dil Chahta Hai?
Dil Chahta Hai.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for sure, Garvit, to go back to your previous question. So we just released a song called Dil Chahta Hai for non-Indians. This was one of India's most iconic youth anthems of all time. And the phrase Dil Chahta Hai means what my heart wants. I mean, or what the heart wants. And we had this song recorded in 2016. Somehow we just never had a good video. And then we thought, okay, well, let's release the song because the meaning is good. And let's see if we can get as many people involved to just do videos. And one of the conversations that came up was, it's such an old concept. Everyone's done this before. You know, everyone is doing these videos that look like a Zoom call, or everyone's done these videos where people are holding up signs with something written on it. And if we had listened to our own self-doubt and our fear of not being originally enough, we would just not have done anything. We would just have said, okay, it's a concept that's been done before. This is an old song from 2016. Plus, you know, who wants to listen to this arrangement? It's too jazzy and too snarky puppy. Let's just not do it. Let's just, you know, play it safe. I mean, it's better that we got it out. And, you know, ultimately we attached it to 2 foundations in India. One is T.M. Krishna's Sumanasa Foundation. He is a very renowned and respected Indian classical musician, South Indian classical musician. And then one is Salim Sulaiman's Zaria Foundation. Salim Sulaiman are composer duos. They're brothers. They make a duo of composers, well, English. And they're very much on the opposite spectrum of T.M. Krishna in terms of what they do. Their music is almost all Bollywood. And it's, if we use the term commercial, T.M. Krishna is on the opposite end, and Salim Sulaiman is much more commercially oriented. Both of them both these foundations are working with marginalized artists. And what I mean by marginalized artists, to borrow a phrase from T.M. Krishna himself, is that a lot of art that you see on television and radio is made by a small minority of artists who have access to those platforms. Or like us, like I would say everyone on this chat is privileged because we have access to a laptop, we have access to headphones, we have access to internet, and we have access to these kind of apps called Zoom, right? So we are privileged. We are a small minority in the world. If you think of 7.34 billion people on the planet, we are already a minority. And within this minority of people, there's a smaller minority that makes art that is seen on seen on radio and television. So much art in the world is created in the margins of the commercial sphere by people who are on the margins of whether it's the commercial sphere or access to things or society itself. And those people often are creating art, like our folk musicians, like the traditional, untouched by society, untouched by media, that kind of music, that kind of art. And a lot of them can only survive if the hospitality industry and tourism is happening, because they get their livelihood from playing in, I'm giving an example of India. They're playing on the streets, they're playing in havelis, in, hotels and whatnot in Rajasthan, let's say, or they're playing in temples in India, in South India. They're playing during festival season. And, with lockdown, they have no livelihood, no savings. Plus, many of these people are also doubling as agricultural workers or daily wage earners. And so, those folks have nothing. And so to come back to the original thing, we were like, okay, let's get this music out. Let's get as many celebrities involved. Let's get as many Berklee kids involved, not kids, but students. And let's have messages, because there has to be a message. So we asked our audience 3 questions. What are you grateful for right now? Dil chahta hai, meaning what does your heart want? And post lockdown, what are your hopes? And we just said, let's see what the responses are. And they were beautiful. I mean, they were also very insightful responses. And then we just packaged the whole thing together, over the course of a month it took, and released it. And it's doing well. And we got the record label that owns the song T-Series to donate all proceeds from any streams, whether it's on the T-Series YouTube channel or the Berklee YouTube channel, or through things like Saavn or iTunes or Spotify. We're still working on getting all that done. But that music is, those proceeds will go to these 2 foundations directly. And somebody who doesn't have a meal or a second or a third meal in a day might get one. Plus, both of these foundations are actually already doing this work. Whether we exist or we do this work, they're already doing it. So our goal is, how can we amplify what they're doing, get it out to a larger audience, and galvanize more global support for them. So that was the idea. But, that original idea of let's do a song with lots of people holding up signs has been done 60,000 times. It's not an original idea, but we just put our own perspective and heart into it. So hopefully it works, hopefully it gets out to more people.
It's working.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope so.
every day.
Yeah.
It's done very well in just a matter of a few days, right? I think it's at 500,000
So
views.
far,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crossed 500,000. So,
Fantastic.
For it to help 2 foundations, we got to get, we got to get a couple 100 million on it. So the work proceeds.
We really appreciate your contribution towards this cause. And if I'm not wrong, Annette, this is just one part of what you're trying to do in the COVID situation right now. You also started like Chai with Bigs. You started your Keep It Light sessions, and you have Takadimi Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So, what are you planning? You're planning on how do you come up with these ideas and how you bring them to fruition, and just talk about them a little bit so that the people who are in the Zoom meeting can also know about it and attend them.
Sure. Thank you for asking. So part of Berklee India Exchange, part of what we want to do is we feel our role in society, and not just at Berklee, but in the world, is to educate, to entertain, to inspire, and to engage. And so everything that we do, we try to make sure that we've got a little bit of that element going. So with education, we have a very cool series called Takadimi Tuesdays. We love Kornakol, we love tabla bowls. We love the rich Indian rhythmic tradition, which is a language of its own, which is super fun way. If there are any other musicians online, it's a great way to learn rhythms and to really internalize rhythm. And so it's something we started in 2018, which was initially just that we would get people from all over the world to just do short compositions or short demonstrations of tabla bowls or konakol or solkata. And then when lockdown started, we thought, okay, let's take it a step further. Let's make it more educational. So just asking gurus or anyone who understands the tradition to really break down one composition or to talk about basics. And the cool thing is that these rhythmic exercises can be applied to any instrument, no matter where you're from, what country you're from. It's great for your brain. It's good, brain exercises, and it's fun. Plus it's a little taste of Indian culture. So it's all things in one. It comes out every Tuesday. We have it. If you just do hashtag Takkadimi Tuesdays, I'll type it here, Takkadimi Tuesdays. If you just do a Google, oops, it went privately instead of everybody. If you just do hashtag Takkadimi Tuesdays and you type it in onto Google, you'll see hundreds, not just ours, but hundreds of musicians all over the world using this concept and just being creative. So that's one. Second thing was Chai Time with Bix. We felt that, yes, music and performance and good ideas and creativity and inspiration and motivation, all this is great. There's also a huge side to being a creative person, which is your self-doubt, which is, how you face rejection, how you work with any sort of setback or injuries, whether it's a vocal injury or it's a physical injury that impedes you from playing your instrument, or just learning how to, use both your strengths and weaknesses to make it for yourself in the industry. And so we started these conversations with artists who we feel have really made it on their own. We did one with Jonita Gandhi in March, and the next one is actually with Clinton Cerejo in next week, next Saturday. Next Saturday, we have the next one. We're going to publicize it on Monday, and really have opportunities for people to share what they used in their lives to get stronger mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and musically. And be real. Almost all interviews talk about all the good stuff that's happened in your life. And there's many chapters of pain and struggle and poop that happen in your life that nobody usually talks about. So, I think all of you know what I'm talking about. So that was what Chai Time with Bix is about. And similarly, we have a couple more things. You can check them out. I don't want to take up all our time talking about them, but our idea is, how can we serve by educating, entertaining, engaging people like in the video, or inspiring them, to just try something new, be creative, no matter whether they think they're a musician or not. We can all live creative lives. And what I mean by that is making choices out of joy rather than out of fear or doubt. So, yeah.
So, can I just ask as well about keeping it light? What was your motivation to start that? And after many sessions, what has the impact for you been, as well as others maybe?
Yeah, well, I'm so happy. Palak and Shine was here initially, and Jerlin has been here for a lot of those sessions. So thank you guys, my Keeping It Light family. So around a week after lockdown began in Boston, one of my colleagues, Thomas Panay from Berklee, gave me a call and said, look, a lot of our faculty and our students and our staff are feeling a lot of pressure. Is there something that you could introduce? It could be daily, it could be, however many times a week that you want. Could you do like a little meditation or something? Could you just introduce a new series? So I brainstormed with a friend, and I didn't want it to be called a meditation series because I felt like, I don't know, it just wasn't working for me as being called a meditation series. So this theme, or this title, Keeping It Light, felt really good because, it's also about just keeping it light, like not taking anything too seriously, just letting it roll off your back. And also light, like light is so important. So light is super important in our lives, and it brings us energy, even if it's sunlight, vitamin D, whatever way you want to describe it. And it's been 35 sessions so far. I initially was doing it every day. And then my partner, Steven, said, let's be wise. You will burn out. Why don't you do it 5 times a week instead of 7 times a week? It was a very wise decision. So now I do it Monday to Friday at 8:45 to 8:55 a.m. in Boston or East Coast time, which is what, 6:15 to 6:25, I think, in India, in the evenings, PM. And it's been such a lovely community. Like, people have just started opening up and sharing all sorts of things. And, some of the topics we've discussed are the mental pivot between perfection versus progress. Or like yesterday, we talked about compliments versus acknowledgement, and how an acknowledgement of someone is such a much deeper way to appreciate them than just a compliment, which is, I love your hair, or, I like your hat, Garvit. But, it could be, well, thank you for dressing up. Thank you for taking the time to, really like show up for this community with this hat on. I mean, it shows that you care about, what this program is about. And, it could be anything, but stuff like that. And also we do visualizations, and we've done like an ocean visualization or a mountain visualization or a forest visualization. And these are just different ways for us to tap into whatever center we need, including allowing our inner child to be free and playful and be creative. So it's been really nice. I hope to continue this for a long, long time. And I feel like we have a very close-knit community. There's a lot of vulnerable, honest, raw sharing that has begun to happen in that group. And it's because everyone in the group has committed to being present and being unafraid to share that they're struggling in some way, or they're growing or evolving in some way, and we all learn from each other. Like, it's a really, really powerful thing. So very grateful to have it. And I've had a very bad week. For last 2 weeks, I've had some personal issues going on, and I was in such a bad mood, and I was not sleeping. And somehow, knowing that I was going to see my Keeping It Light family at 8:45, somehow by 7, I'm like, okay, no matter what, I'm going to get up, I'm going to wash my face, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to think of something, and we're all going to, share, and we're going to learn, and we're going to help each other. And so it really helped me. It's brought consistency to my life, which is not part of my life usually. I'm the most inconsistent person I've ever met. I don't think there's anybody who's more inconsistent than I am. And it's really helped me. So kudos to everybody. Gratitude to everybody who has been joining.
It's a great initiative.
It's great to hear.
If somebody wants to join and be a part of Keep It Light, how could they do so?
Oh, sorry. If someone wants to join Keeping It Light, it's live on Instagram, on my personal page, and also on my Facebook page. It's live every day, 8:45 to 8:55-ish in the mornings, which is 6:15 to 6:25 p.m. Monday to Friday in India. And if you've missed the sessions and you'd like to, you can simply search Keeping It Light with Annette Philip on Facebook, and there's 35 videos so far have been done. So they're all available. So it's open and free, and anybody's welcome anytime, and there's no commitment or pressure or anything. Yeah.
Great.
If you feel like.
Talking about this, do you have certain suggestions for musicians and people related to the music business itself, in order to how to make the most of their lockdown period? Maybe if you could share like the top 3 things that you would suggest people do.
Wow, I think everyone is so different. I think my top 3 things would be, okay, fun, make sure you're doing whatever you can to just be okay. And maybe that's the only thing I would say. Just find a way, like if you're struggling or if you're whatever it is, just find a way to get through it. You know, for some people that means making lots of content. For some people that means cooking. For some people that means reading a lot or learning a new language or practicing guitar, you know, which they haven't done in a long time. I really don't think there is any pressure. Jerlyn said writing. Yeah, exactly. I think that I am not of the opinion that we need to be super productive right now. I have a mandate. I have a mission with Berklee India Exchange. And so I choose to use my time in a very way. I am successful part of that time. That's me being 100% honest. You know, I'm struggling a lot. So I don't have a top 3 things, Garvit. I'm sorry. Other than please take care of yourself. And maybe if anything, once you're able to be okay in a day to day and you're able to shower, and like showering is good, you know, or if you're able to get some exercise is good. Eat something, hydrate, you know. Other than that, do something that makes you happy. Like find something, maybe one thing that makes you happy, because like everything is changing. You just don't know what's going to happen in the world. So I will not give any advice of, you know, go make your album or do anything. Like I will not say that, because I can't hear that for myself. It's a lot of pressure, and we as artists, I think right now we're feeling like we need to show our worth in the world by making stuff. Mine is coming primarily because I have a duty at Berklee to be doing something specific, and so I'm working with a team. But we have many down days. We have many days where we tell each other, I just can't today, it's not happening. And we just give each other some space and some time. So I'm sorry, that's the best answer. That's the most honest answer I can give you right now. Yeah.
It's actually the most important, and I appreciate your honesty because it means a lot. Sorry, Sanchit, you were saying something.
Oh, well, I was just going to maybe a little bit related to the subject, but maybe more specifically since you have an ensemble, since you lead an ensemble, are there anything that your ensemble is doing to kind of cope with the fact that you guys can't meet in person or can't be playing or anything like that?
Yeah, so actually this semester I was supposed to be touring, so I wasn't teaching at all this semester. I was supposed to be touring till September, from January to September with my group, Women of the World. What we are planning with the Indian Ensemble right now are a couple of things. One is, you know, we just released this video, but it was not a musical collaboration, it was only video. So our next step is we'd like to explore a musical collaboration. We have a couple of songs that we've not released yet, that we've not recorded yet, but we've performed many times. And we're going to choose a small group of musicians and try to create some music collaboratively across, you know, from wherever we are, from our homes. And we might try to do a concert series, something that we felt might be fun, like a remote concert series. However, it'll be we don't have the full plan yet. So all I know right now is we're thinking about it. It may only happen in, let's say, July or August, I don't know. And we may have some artists collaborate with us to you know, fly in their vocals and videos, and we'll see. I don't know. We're just kind of figuring it out right now. Fortunately, the class has not been running. So when the class will only get back in September, and so I'm thinking of what are alternate educational models that can work in a latency rich environment that we find ourselves in. It's impossible to jam with people online right now. Though I know that Pablo Munguia from Berklee Valencia is working on some sort of softwares, and he's working with different companies to see if there's something that can be done real time. I don't know if it's going to happen soon, like the vaccines. So we'll wait and see. But just staying in touch, I think, right now with as many people as we can. And maybe we will have a series which brings, the students' personal music to the platform. We have a global audience, so we could get them a lot of extra publicity each. So I don't know. You know what? If you have ideas, I'd love to, get ideas from all of you for new things that you might think the Berklee Indian Ensemble could do. We're so open.
It's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would delve deeper into your Berklee Indian exchange experiences. I want to know, what is your favorite video, which one you had the most fun creating, and why?
No, that's like asking a parent who's their favorite child.
No.
That's not
It's
happening. I'm not answering that question. I mean, yeah, everything is so different. Every video is so different. So it's hard to say. I will say that Jagopriya was very fun to create, which was the video where we all wrote out things that make us happy. And that was more than, I think, recording the video, was the class discussion about that. We found out that there are some people who really get happy by eating. There's a Thai dish called drunken noodles. So, that was something that made people happy. And we understood that day who are the people who like cats, who are the people who like dogs, who are the people who are afraid of dogs. We understood that, like, who's really close to their parents, or who feels very protective of their sisters. All sorts of crazy things. And I think that's the coolest thing about making these videos or having the class, is getting to know all the personal, silly, random stories about each other. Because, like, music making needs to be personal. When there's no inside jokes, the music is much less fun. So I would say
Great
that.
advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
like,
all
you
attest
have
to
to
that.
spend time with your bands. Like, if you are in a band, or even a theater group, or a dance troupe, or a company, or if you're like an analyst, a financial analyst, like, go and have movie night with your co-workers. Go for lunch, cook for them, buy, like, bake desserts for them, whatever. Like, do something to make it personal. And just knowing who doesn't like chocolate is a very important thing in your life. Like, how can you have a relationship with somebody that you work with and not know if they don't like ice cream, or they just don't drink coffee, or, like, it's so important. I think it's important. So yeah.
Like,
There's this question very specific to one of the
Sure.
videos called Jia Jale.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Shreya asked, right?
yeah. How did all of
Yeah.
that come
For you
about,
to-
and how was the experience working with A.R. Rahman?
Cool. Shreya, thank you for the question. In 2013, after we did our first residency and it went really well, the president of Berklee came and said, okay, let's do this again. Who would you like to invite? And without thinking, I think Clint and I were very much on board, and we were like, A.R. Rahman. And it's been my dream to work with him as a child. When, what was that movie? Roja. Was it Roja? Or which one was Dil? Roja had Dil Hai Chota Sa, no?
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
I suddenly, anyway, Roja came out, and I was like, I was not really listening to Bollywood music. And then that song came out. I was like, oh my God, who is this guy? Like, who is composing this? This is so different. It's got this flavor, like Sanchit, what you were talking about, that taste. There was something in Rahman sir's music that just felt so different and so delicious. I mean, it was just tasty music. So we asked Roger, how about A.R. Rahman? And how about if we give him an honorary doctorate? And, there's something to be said about asking for things shamelessly. Like, if you have an idea, shamelessly ask for it, because you don't know, somebody might say yes, So that's been our kind of motto throughout. And he said, okay, let's write to him. And a few weeks later, he got Rahman sir's email. He wrote to him saying, we'd love to honor you with an honorary doctorate at Berklee. And Rahman sir wrote that same day saying, okay, I'm down. And then like 1.5 years of planning later, we had the school concert, and we were arranging many songs, and we thought, oh, might be nice to release a video before the show. So we were going to release Ye Jo Desh Hai Tera. I think that was what we were going to release first. But then we were doing that Hek Kurvani Kire, the Malayalam part in Jia Jale. And the choir was rehearsing it. And the choir said, this is the song we should release. So we said, okay, let's release this song. Let's see how it goes. And yeah, it was like most of our videos we record in one day. So we do the audio and the video at the same time. And man, it was like maybe 19 hour recording session nonstop. And we just were like, okay, let's hope this goes well. And I remember for anyone who's in Boston, I was standing outside Boloco on the street. Priya is probably the only one who knows. But I was standing outside one of the restaurants near Berklee, and I told Michael Borgida. Michael Borgida is the main guy who handles all the Berklee videos. And I told Michael, I want a viral video. So he said, okay, let's hope this becomes viral. So like, yeah, I really think this is the one. We really worked hard on it, and let's hope that people like it, and let's hope let's hope that people relate to it more than anything else. Like, we are really proud of it. Let's hope it goes out there and does good things, and it has. So yeah. And then when AR Sir came, we were all super tongue-tied. We didn't know what to say. He shook one of our hands. Like, we're not going to wash our hands anymore. and he was very cool. He was very chill and very shy and very humble and very sweet. And yeah, it was a great experience, and we hope to do it again. Hope that answers the question. I see there's one more question about, Anchita asked about folk music. Yes. So actually, Anchita, great question. So now with Dil Chahta Hai having just come out, which is primarily the first goal is to help folk musicians in India. And actually what we wanted to do, we're talking to Shubha Mudgal and other artists who work with folk musicians. Hey, good to see you. Is to actually have some of the folk musicians who are willing to be seen in public, be part of some collaborative works with the Indian ensemble. So we're hoping that we can take the, whatever support we're giving them or through TMK and Salim Sulaiman's foundations, we can also now take it from a financial assistance thing to a publicity thing, where if they want it and if they're willing, we'd love to work on some of their original compositions or even their traditional folk songs and do more of it. We've actually done a lot of folk music in the ensemble in performances, but not all of those have been live to public, to the global audience. So that's why. But I'll go and see if I have some. If you DM me, I'll send you some of our folk songs. Super fun. And if anybody has folk music, we're always looking for music.
Actually, I'm from Rajasthan, so there are a lot of people. There is a lot of upcoming of Rajasthan folk artists in the recent years. But
nice.
But since I've been here for like all of my life, and I've seen it, the things that are out there are not actually the original essence. Like I have heard Ghumar, which was done by Berklee Indian Ensemble. It's a great song. It's an amazing song. But I don't know if it's my opinion, but it does not capture the true essence. Ghumar is also Ghumar is also a song, a traditional Rajasthani song, which goes something like Ghumar rangwa mein jana, aise karke. And it's like in weddings and stuff, we have this song, it plays, and it's so different. So I was just curious that Indian Ensemble is such a free and such a welcoming platform that you might get interested in stuff like this.
Totally. So why don't we chat, why don't we DM, direct message each other, and figure it out. And I totally agree, you know, that it's so funny because sometimes a song gets captured in a moment, and then, you know, it is sometimes the best version of it that it could possibly be, and sometimes it isn't. So I totally agree with you. We also don't think it's our best version. So you know, if we can get more authentic in that, we would love to. And so, you know, if there are some artists that you think we should connect with, for sure, please send them across and send them our way.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yay, I'm so excited. This will be cool.
And then, since we were talking about A.R. Rahman a little while ago, I remember you telling us a story about how you were in a plane with him, and how he has these ideas that he records them on the mobile and then brings them to fruition. There are a lot of musicians, like I'm pretty sure, like a lot of people who are in this call right now are musicians or play some of the instruments. I want to know if you would like to tell them how to like begin the process of producing a certain music, because a lot of people do not have that kind of education, but are very willing to make their own kind of music. So if you have an idea how to actually bring that into a tangible form, do you have any opinions about that?
So let me see if I got your question. It's more like whether or not you play an instrument, how to get your musical ideas into into a cohesive form, or like create a full song out of it. Is that the question more?
Yes, yes. Creative
Okay.
the ideas.
How? Okay. So, well, I think, you know, especially during lockdown, I think the traditional idea, the traditional answer could be, you know, in periods not of lockdown, is to write with somebody. Collaborating with someone is probably the coolest way to bring out your ideas. Even if you're a painter or a dancer or a writer or, you know, a chef, collaborating is a great idea. During COVID or lockdown right now, if it's not possible, there are lots of cool tools which are very easy to learn. One of my favorite ones is called Loopy. Let me open it up. I have it on my phone, and I also have it on my iPad. It's a very interesting app, and basically it allows you, so it's, you know, it looks like this, and you can, well, I don't have my headphones on, but you can actually like record something. Sorry. So, you know, you record something and it records, and then it plays back, and then you can loop things. And, you know, so this is actually a very, very cool app, and you don't need any instruments. You can just do it with your voice and headphones into a phone. Most of us have phones now. It's not a you know, luxury commodity anymore. And most countries, I think, can have a form of loopy. And looping as a concept is a great idea for creating new ideas, or creating new arrangements, or creating entire songs, just using the concept of loops. And what I mean by loop is a short phrase that can be repeated upon itself, and then you can do another short phrase that complements that first one, and then you can layer things, and you can basically create this huge, you know, background for yourself to sing on, or to rap on, or to do spoken word on, or to dance to, or, you know, to paint to. I mean, there's so many different ways. And then if it's not loopy, you know, there are DAWs, which are digital audio workstations. Is that what the W stands for? DAWs.
Workstation.
Like, right, like GarageBand, like Logic, like Cubase, Pro Tools, Digital Performer. I mean, there's so many different ones. GarageBand is so easy to use. There are lots of online tutorials on how to use them, and it allows you to plug in MIDI instruments if you have any, or just record your voice and do the same thing. Why I like Loopy is that the learning curve is zero. You know, you try one or two, you make some mistakes, and then you know how to use it. So there's lots of ways to try that. What Rahman sir was doing, I wasn't on the flight with him, but he talked about this during an interview, that he has musical ideas always in his head. So if he's writing a movie, you know, he'll take his phone and he'll just record at the side of the plane. He'll go somewhere near the bathroom and he'll record the idea, so that he remembers the motif. That's it. And a few days later, if he still likes that motif, he might, you know, embellish embellish it, or send it to his team and they'll embellish it and make it into a full song. So
Basically, record everything.
basically,
Recording
yeah,
everything.
record everything. I have hundreds and hundreds of, you know, new 1.2, new 1.111, you know, so, or untitled. Most of my musician friends have untitled 01, untitled 02, you know. Then they put a Z in front of it when they've gone through all the possibilities. Yeah.
What's the name of this app again?
Loopy, L-O-O, let me write it, Loopy, L-O-O-P-Y. Usually it's on phone, iPad also. I don't know if they have one for laptops, but there are many. If you just look for Loop apps, you can find it, or GarageBand. Yeah.
I just want to remind, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. I do have one question, maybe for some of the folks who are not as familiar with Indian music, but now that we have some time during lockdown, who are some of your influences, or who are some folks you'd recommend people check out if they're trying to get into Indian music?
Wow, it's so vast. Where to start? I think we should all, you know, it shouldn't be my suggestion. I think we should just all, you know, put on our mics and just suggest. Maybe writing the names in the chat will probably be easier, you know, and we can all just put in, because I probably don't know some people that you guys know and I want to learn. So help me. I mean, I can just give you 3 totally random. I mean, these are not, you know, the end all be all, but I think A.R. Rahman has so much variety of music. He does folk, he has classical, he's got, you know, very contemporary, he's got whatever. So A.R. Rahman as just a person, it's a good entry point, I think, because there's so much. It's a great entry point. I think listening to also our instrumental music is so beautiful. Like if you listen to Bansuri, if you listen to, you know, Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, that's a great person to listen to. It's so meditational in some cases. Ustad Zakir Hussain, I mean, great tabla player. I mean, I think just anybody who has like a rhythmic bone in them, which is pretty much all of us, you know, you'll be inspired. And again, his music is so eclectic. There's just all sorts of collaborations he's done with dancers and with, you know, musicians from literally all over the world. So that could be 3. Anushka Shankar is doing very interesting work. Nitin Sani is of Indian origin, very, very interesting electronic music. Karsh Kale has great stuff. Shubha Mudgal. I mean, you know, like, where do we start? Where do we end? I think, yes, Rekha Bhardwaj, totally agree. Yeah. Mami Khan, I mean, what an amazing, bright spirit he is. Mahesh Raghavan, yeah, I love him. Yeah. You know, the list is endless. Also, I mean, you know, listening to Sufi, you know, Qawwali music, and also the Pakistani artists, there's such rich tradition there, which also for the people in Spain, you know, there's such a confluence of flamenco and Qawwali music that, you know, there's certain commonalities in how the vocal projection is done, and the quality of voice is also so similar.
Great, yeah. It's a good idea to put it in the list.
Yeah, but please put it in the list. I'd love to know, maybe so other people. Yes, Vilayat Khan, absolutely. Ustad Vilayat Khan, yeah.
Awesome.
Also, Indian rap is cool. Since we were talking about Gully Boy.
Yeah,
there
was this new record label started just for independent Indian rappers, and that's amazing to know.
Really? Oh, tell me about that. I don't know enough about it.
Right after Gully Boy released, they started called Azadi Records. And all of these artists, like majority of those people who perform raps in the movie itself are signed to that label, and it's kind of co-owned by the artists themselves. So it's an
Oh,
amazing.
that's great.
Yeah.
Actually, Garvit, what you just said reminded me of Vivek Rajgopalan. So he's a dear friend of mine who lives in Bombay. He went out and started teaching Konakol to a lot of the kids in the slum areas in Bombay. And they started a project called the Tadom Project, which is really, really cool. So all these artists, they've, actually grown up in the slum areas. They've now they've learned Konakol, and then they've started writing rap verses in their regional languages, but based on the Konakol rhythmic pattern. So like one of the things they do is tadom tatom takadina tatom takita tadom ta, and then they'll do lado musibato ko mato sa kwap ho koi chuna moka. So they write specifically according to the meter or the metric of the Konakol, which is harder than most rap artists, a harder time than most rap artists have, because they can free flow over a general beat. But the complication here is very cool, and it's led to very, very cool rap verses in Hindi, Marathi, Malayalam, Tamil, you name it. And so you should please check that out.
I think there's a
huge
track
shout
on
out to Vivek.
Yeah.
He's doing really great work.
One of the tracks on the Gully Boy soundtrack, I think, is exactly that. Vivek Rajagopal.
It's by Vivek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's by Vivek.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
Oh, thank you for sharing this. It's great.
Yeah, he plays Mridangam. He's a Mridangam artist. And he's also actually recently featured on Takadami Tuesdays with Berklee. So, yeah, great project. Super project.
Right. At the end, I have this one last question for you. Then we'll open it to all the people if they have any specific questions they want to ask. I want to know, what is the greatest advice you received from anyone?
I don't know.
Yeah, we can take your time. We can come back to this question. I know it's.
I don't know that there's greatest advice. I think I'm just, constantly learning. So it might be something I learn to hear tomorrow or learn tomorrow. I think, I think one of my teachers once told me to get out of my own way. It was a Berklee professor who told me that. I asked him a question and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Should I do this or should I do that? And, I was having my musician and student angst, just like the whole world is waiting on my one decision. And, of course, taking myself too seriously. And he listened very patiently for about 10 minutes. And then he looked at me and he said, I think you already know the answer. So just get out of your own way. It's like, oh, oops. Okay. So you can take that as it suits you. But I think a lot of times we know what we need to do, and we are allowing our self-doubt or fear or laziness or procrastination or whatever it is to fog us, to fog our mind. So, and also ego, huge thing. Maybe that's what he meant. I don't know.
So deep.
It was hard to hear it though. Yeah.
Wow, great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, it just brought me to another question. Somebody really asked me this last week. What is a tagline you would associate with your self-identity?
A tagline for myself, my identity, ever evolving.
Ever evolving.
I don't know. I think we're changing every day. That's Garvit's what?
That's Garvit's business mind coming out, I think.
Ever, the tagline thingy?
Yeah.
Ever evolving.
I don't know. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I should brand it. Maybe I was like, keeping it light,
Yeah. I'll send you the proposal. You let me know.
Yeah, I'm full on. Now I feel like I'm going to do a book. I'm going to do a global world tour with this book. We are all going to tour together. There's going to be like a camp. There's going to be, there has to be, because I really am feeling really energized with the community first and foremost, the Keeping It Light family, and I would love to take it out there. I think we cannot have enough of self-love and self-appreciation, and also just like kindness. And I really mean that. I really think that it makes a big difference. So yeah, ever evolving and keeping it light. Okay, thanks. I will put it in my bio, Garvit.
Love it. Love it. With that, I'm going to leave the floor open. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask it.
Yeah, I think we had a question from Balak Trivedi.
Balak,
Yeah.
my dear. Okay, how long does it take to arrange a new song? The song tells you when it's done most of the time. There are some songs, I mean, we do have to apply finished, not perfect for some songs. And I think the shortest amount of time I've taken to both write and arrange a song is 7 minutes. It was with 3 friends of mine. We were in a small studio with one orange light, 2 guitars, and the lyrics, all the harmonies, everything. It was just like that, 7 minutes. And then there are some songs that, we have never finished writing or arranging. Like, it's just, we've put out versions of it, and it's like, yeah, I guess that's all we have right now. We got to eat more biryani or eat more ice cream or like watch some more movies before we can get the right kind of inspiration. And so some of them, the song pretty much knows when it's done. Yeah, this is another great place to get out of your own way. Like, just allow the song. Sometimes the song is done, but you're not done. So you keep on rearranging and rearranging. And, we're like that with paintings and cooking also. Sometimes like the dal is completely ready, but you're like, nahi, thoda sa, or, oh no, I should put more spinach, or I should, but it was done. It was fine like half an hour ago, So the song, I guess that's the best answer. The song decides.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Sparsh.
Hi, Sparsh.
Hi. It's a kind of a question which is connected to the last question she asked. So I often, when I'm making any song, I often have an idea in my head. And whatever idea in my head that I have, it's often related to some emotion which I have, which is that idea, which is connected to that idea. But often when I'm starting to make that song, I often end up probably kind of swaying away from main idea, and it sometimes turns out to be really different. I often
I
feel the
lost one
difficulty of
sentence.
sticking to one thing and deciding my palette how it should sound.
I lost one sentence in the middle.
Hello?
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I'm saying that I often, when I have the idea, I have an emotion attached to that idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever I'm trying to make that song into something, I'm recording that song or maybe like producing that song, I often find myself swaying away from that idea and emotional wise, and often tend to make it something which maybe is not how I imagine it to be emotionally. So I really face sometimes difficulty in choosing my sound palette and in connection with how it should emotionally translate to what I'm feeling inside. So what do you think, how should one, kind of go into making that song and construct it step by step into exactly putting that emotion forward? That's my question.
I have a question. I have a couple of questions. One, Sparsh, is even when you deviated from the original idea or the original emotional intention, did you like what the new thing was?
I do, but then I kind of have this conflict in my head that is it really conveying that emotion which I had, or is it because it may sound good musically, but it may not convey the idea or the emotion which I have in that idea, in the initial idea. So that's where I have a conflict in my head sometimes. So that's very difficult to get out of. For me.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, actually yesterday, Stephen and I were writing a song, and he made a comment to me because I was like, I had an idea and I gave him that idea and we were co-writing. And then he said, oh, we could change it. I said, no, but that's really good. He said, wow, you're super attached to this first idea already. What if something better is coming along? So, maybe like we can record it, we can keep it on the side, but why get so attached? And it really made me think about it. And this is literally 8 hours ago, this happened. So I have a couple of things. Let me try to be systematic in this answer. So first off, this happens to a lot of lyricists or poets or writers, even for just literature, that, when you're writing lyrics for a song, that you already know what the intent is. You already know the story, you already know the characters, for instance. Sometimes you've got to write all the extra stuff and get it out. You have to just get it out on paper. So one of my favorite songs that Stephen wrote had like 80 verses, so many different ideas he put out, even though he knew what his original intention was. But he allowed everything to flow, because if you think about it like traffic, right? Like, let's say, I'm going to use, Shine is not here anymore, but she loves yellow. So let's say there's a yellow car that is stuck in a lot of traffic, and you are waiting to give something to the person in the yellow car. But for the yellow car to get to you, all the other cars need to pass, the camels and the horses and the scooters and the buses and everything. You need to allow it to pass by you before the yellow car can come. You're like, haan ji, ye lijiye aapka jo bhi hai, whatever, your book. So it's this kind of the same way, I think, in music, right? Like, we always think that we have to have the best idea now, but it's actually really great to let the traffic go by, record everything like we were talking before, and then eventually let it rest, and tomorrow, like, look at the song again and feel like, oh, maybe, what, this is a new song. I'm just going to change the lyrics. But this song that came out through the traffic, the purple car, was actually a song about, I don't know, friendship. And even though my song was supposed to be about loss, this song is about friendship, and I'm just going to write new lyrics. So I'm going to get a friend of mine to write new lyrics, because this song is actually cool. Like, this idea is amazing. So I'll let it sit in this purple card. Now, where's that yellow card? And you can look around and keep tweaking those ideas, because I think that we suppress a lot of things, thinking that it should have been, because we're attached to the original idea or the original intention. But maybe another song is trying to come out of you at that point, so that's one thing. And the second thing is, like, even a person like Rahman sir, he's probably written thousands of songs, which are also not just that he's written them, but that have connected with thousands, billions of people, right? At this point.
Okay.
He said in his interview about, because I asked him about this, like, how do you choose, or how do you know which is the right one, or how do you know which is the best one? And he said, if a composer asks me for 2 songs in his movie and they are about X emotion or Y emotion, I make 20, and then I listen to them. And
I'm sorry, I lost you there.
He says, when a composer asks me to make a song for like a mountain scene and an ocean scene, I make 20. I make, let's say, 10 for the mountain, 10 for the ocean. Then I don't listen to them. And then the next day or the next week, if I have time, I send him the 3 that I don't hate. And then they choose something. And sometimes it's the one that I like the least, but they choose that. That's a job variety of, like how you would make that decision in a job situation. But if it's just music that you're making personally, use the purple car, yellow car, because really, maybe there's some other wonderful stuff going on. And then don't be afraid to tweak your ideas. Like, Stephen really inspires me that he will rewrite lyrics for a song 10, 15, 20 times, and a lot of people think that inspiration is supposed to be whatever comes in the moment. But actually, it's sometimes whatever comes after pulling all the poop out of your head. And then there's one good idea in that. And that's, it was hiding under everything. You had to clean your room to find it. Is that, I hope that makes sense.
Essentially what you're saying is that you divide and create one out of that one idea. You have many ideas which come out. So you divide it and, make separate songs out of one idea.
Well, it depends on the day. I think there's no creativity. There's no recipe for creativity other than spending time with it,
Can't argue.
So maybe not being so hard on yourself. also helps. Like, you know, unless it's a job for a movie or something that you have to create a song for this thing, I mean, you're allowed to create anything. You're allowed to, right? Like,
Yes, definitely.
yeah.
That was really helpful. Thank you.
Hi, ma'am. This is Shreya. I'm from Delhi, India, and I'm a student of Indian classical music. And I've been learning classical music for, I don't remember. I was tiny, and I've been learning ever since. And a lot of people, when they hear me sing, they ask me, "Why don't you try composing?" And that's one of the things that I'm facing an issue with. I don't know, I can sing when I listen to somebody, or I can sing whatever they are singing, but when it comes to composing something, uh, that's where I have an issue in my head. So how can, like, I basically want to ask you, how do I hone my composing skills? Like, where do I start? And like, if there is something that I want to compose and I imagine it in my head, how do I go about it?
Okay, so there's one thing I want to say is that everybody doesn't have to create new material. That's the first thing. I just want to put it out there before we start getting into it, because there's a lot more medals and prizes given for what we consider original, right? I just want to put it out there because there are lots of artists who are amazing, who've never written their own songs, and that doesn't make them any less or better of an artist. So I just really want to state that, okay? The second thing is, if you're excited about composing because you want to do it, not because other people are telling you to do it, that's like really important thing.
Absolutely.
As long as you want to do it, I actually think that the whole Rahman sir idea of just recording like chota, whatever, like just make something up, Shreya. Just if I said, okay, sing me 3 notes, just now, just do it now.
Okay. Ga, ma, pa.
Beautiful. So if you had only ga, ma, pa, right? And if you were able to just play with that, I mean, literally do that. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. You can do so many stuff, so many things with just those 3 notes, and take a garage band, or take something that you can record into, because that's usually easier, and sing everything possible with those 3 notes. And honestly, there are so many songs on the planet that are on 1 chord. There are so many songs on the planet that have 4 notes, or like 1 octave. Like, I don't know if you know the song "Joy to the World." It's a carol, right? Christmas. Joy to the world, da 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 da. The whole song is 1 octave. Like if I do it in solfege, right? Do ti la so fa mi re do so la ti do do ti la so fa mi do ti la so fa mi mi. The whole thing is 1 octave. Hundreds of billions of people in the song, have know the song, sing it all the time. There's also songs which are just 1 note. Like there's a song like this called "One Note Samba." You should look it up. It's literally, I think even the lyrics talk about that. Like, I only have one idea and it's just this 1 note or something like that. And so I think being unafraid, and then just start making stuff without thinking that it has to be good, or even with like what Sparsh asked, without thinking that it needs an intention, that it needs to become something epic. It's just that you're making something, you're just making stuff like a child would, because we should
I think
just do that.
That's the idea.
Yeah. And really try Loopy. Try this app, if you can get it, or even on, other things, because you probably already do it. You're just not labeling it as composition. But I bet you have, like, you had Gamapa. From that, like, how many different ideas can come from Gamapa?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we do this all the time when we're doing Indian classical music, because we're supposed to do alaps before our rags begin, like the bandishes begin. We do our alaps, and they're not structured. It's not something that we learn by heart. So it's something that we're coming up with every day. But the only problem comes when we need to it. Yeah, that's
when you need to
structure it, like when I need to learn the notes and I put it in a rhythm, that's when the problem begins.
So I mean, it's not so much a problem as you just haven't done it yet. Like today, if somebody tells me, like, you know, stand, like do a handstand, I can't even do a push-up today, right now, you know, but that doesn't mean that I can't. If I practice and if I, you know, learn some stuff, you know, maybe connect with, so Priya, who's on this chat, is also at Berklee, and so are Sanchit and Garvit. You know, just, or anybody, or Sparsh, who's clearly a musician, and have, you know, like even learn one thing, like take an instrument that you don't play, like it could be a guitar, or it could be a piano, it could even be, you know what, let's do that for 1 second. I don't want to take too much time, but at the same time, it's such a good, what, sing your gamapa again.
Ga ma pa.
Oops, wow, it's very difficult to play on this.
Right, something like that.
So, right. So if you found your sa, right? Sa, right?
Right.
So even if you just played on I don't know if you have a harmonium or something at home,
Yeah, I do.
or you
I do.
have, right? So even if you, so let's use like konakol type stuff or tabla type stuff. So if you had to just forget about gamapa for a second and just think of a groove, so it could be like or or just create something for us, like just a vibe, a groove vibe, anything. It can be very slow, it can be like a waltz, or
Okay, I'll try. Gama pa gama 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 ma pa ma gama ga ga ma pa gama pa ma gama ga pa. Something like that.
So without the notes, even if you have some sort of structure, like you're looking for structure, right? So give us structure. So if it's some sort of, what I'm saying is find a groove. Not that this is the way to do it, but it's one of the ways to do it. All right. So if someone else gave us a groove, let's say Sanchit gives us a groove, something really simple. Can you hear Sanchit?
You hear me? No.
He's doing something like something like that, right? And if you take that idea and then try doing the gamapa on it, but try to give yourself only one short phrase, only one phrase. So
all right.
ta 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 da da ta 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 da da ta like just that much, and then you start creating structure. I actually think that one of the easiest ways to compose something is to give yourself a little limitation, like put a little box, and usually all the time we're saying break your box, but also you need a little bit of structure. Like to make the dal, you need some sort of katori or some sort of, you know, bartan, right? So like you can't just make dal in the air. So while you're cooking your songs, find a katori for it, find a bartan for it, a dish.
Yeah, I think that's where I was going wrong for the longest time.
It's not wrong, huh? Just please don't say that.
Just because I was overwhelming myself with doing it perfectly, or thinking about the result even before I started making something.
Right.
So I think that was where I was lacking. So yeah, thank you so much. That really helped me
It will
out.
be fun. Please send us your new song. We can't wait to hear, Shreya.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Already
It'll
so
be fun.
groovy. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's it's very nice, Sanchit. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
You
Everybody here might
want
be.
to end with like I don't know, just a random idea, like end with us all creating something right now for like 2-3 minutes.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any like last unanswered question before we
lost
or we
Thomas.
can let's do something.
Do we have
Whatever
any
you like.
questions? Else we can just move ahead with having some fun with Annette.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cool. So I think Sanjay, you should begin with the bass beat.
Oh wow, that's cool. And you know what you can
That
use?
was
You can use
cool.
anything in your house to make sound, you know, like, I mean, you can use anything in your house. You can clap. It's fun. We need to allow ourselves to be like children, like children never think what is the best way to play with the sand. They just play with it. What is the best way to play with this ball? Like,
Let's go, Sanchit. You had that beat.
Sorry, what are we doing?
You had that beat. You start with a beat.
Oh, just I don't know if it's gonna work over Zoom, but we can.
Let's try.
so one great thing is not to think of making a song. It could just be whatever you're experiencing right now, and you're just making some sounds. Like in the jungle, when you go in the jungle, it sounds beautiful, but they're not all, singing in harmony or having deciding, ye nahi yaar, 4/4 mein hona hai. They don't think of that, right? Like the birds and the animals and whatnot, they're just making sounds. So we can just do a jungle scene and whatever that or whatever scene you choose, and just make some sound and not think too much about it. But you have to unmute yourselves.
Yes.
Go for it.
Very nice.
Unmute.
Bring the
Yes.
animal inside of you out.
Huh?
I was just trying to rephrase it. Bring the animal inside of you out.
Yeah. Siddharth, Palak, everybody, dad, mom, dad, you gotta unmute. All right, and then just start, like do whatever, it's just making sounds. And if you hear something, react to somebody, or if you feel like doing your own thing, clapping, do that. And we can put like we told Shreya, right? Like we should put a timer, so we know we got to get it out. It's only going to be what should we do? Like 1 minute.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, I'm giving us 1 minute. All right, there'll be an alarm which rings. It's 1:04, and it'll ring at the end of 1:04. Okay, it's going.
Oh, wow.
That was quick.
So is that quick or is that long? Who felt it was long and who felt it was quick?
It was damn quick.
Really quick.
Quick, yeah. It's just 1 minute. You know how many songs are only 3 minutes long? So yeah.
What's that playing? I can hear it. Oh.
Who's playing? Is Siddharth playing or
Yes,
is
ma'am.
Sanchit playing?
It's me.
Nice. It sounds good, Siddharth.
Nice.
Cool. All right. That's a good vibe. Yeah.
With that in the background, I think it was really fun doing this session with you. And we appreciate you coming over and helping us, giving some inputs and ideas, and telling us about Berklee India Exchange and what you're doing for COVID as well as in musical domain. And we really appreciate your presence here.
Yeah, it's so lovely that you guys have this, and from Boston to Valencia, anything that we can do to support you, please let us know. And like huge round of this is one of my teachers taught me, round of applause. So for Garvit and Sanchit, thank you for thanks for organizing this, and so nice to see you all, Spark. that I don't know if we saw you, but we hear you. It's lovely. Jerlyn, Priya, Palak, Shreya, Thomas from before, mom and dad. So nice. And I hope that we can just, be chill and not take ourselves too seriously and make sounds.
I think you should do more of these sessions because during this time,
Please.
that's all everybody needs, Just a little bit of positivity at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can do this again, and also just come join us on Keeping It Light. But I do agree, this is very cool, like being able to see each other and
True.
talk to each other is very lovely. So yeah. So all congrats and gratitude to Garvit and Sanchit. So thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Hey guys, stay in touch with me, okay? Please, text
Yes,
me.
ma'am.
I'm very fast
Definitely.
on Instagram. I'm much faster on Instagram, so just DM me on that, and I'd love to stay in touch.
Definitely.
And Garvit, Sanchit, what else is coming up? Like, you should publicize what new things are happening for Berklee Valencia India Group.
So I think we just tried it out. What we did right now was to have like a collaboration with all the people on Zoom. Our initial idea was to have a grand concert in Valencia with all the Berklee students performing, all the people who wanted to perform Indian music. Unfortunately, we can't do it right now, but I think this idea is great. People are having fun, and we can do it online. So our focus would be on this for the next week.
Yeah, and we do plan to have more workshops in the same vein as our classical series. So we're looking at talking about some more percussion, maybe some folk music, things like that as well.
Super. Well, let us know, and we'd love to repost your, and republicize anything that you're doing. Oh, Siddharth has joined us. Yay.
Hello, ma'am.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you all for joining. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
folks.
it.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would request one more thing. I would request everybody to unmute and please give a round of applause for Annette for coming over.
Yay, so sweet. Me
So
too to
great.
you.
Thank you.
Same for you guys. Yay.
Warm
Bye,
hug and
everybody.
love from the Berklee Valencia India Group.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Big
Thank you,
hug.
ma'am. Thank
Coming
you.
over, everyone. Have a great night and a
Bye.
great day wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.